lead me when I'm in the mood to be led.
Nick,
I
F11.
want leadership. But don't just like
Scroll
boss
up.
me around,
Oh.
you know? Like lead me. Lead me when I'm in the mood to be led. I want leadership. But don't.
Is that kind of like facetious or pretty accurate, would you say?
I mean, the caption was you're transitioning into like your feminine era, your soft girl era. So you're like, lead me. So it's like, it's a joke. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a joke.
It's that clip of Ryan from The Office,
It
right?
is, yeah, which is also facetious. It's The Office.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's a kernel of truth in the sentiment, yeah?
The kernel of truth is that it's a struggle to go from being hyper independent into being into your feminine energy. That's the truth for me.
That's understandable. I think a lot of women struggle with that.
It's hard to let go because you also are like, I've seen all these boys who aren't in their masculine, and then once you like step into your feminine, then you attract different kind of energy. But any kind of transition is always hard. So.
Yeah, I think a lot of women struggle with that because of feminism, the residue of feminism, and how it conditions women. A lot of women have like just tremendous resistance to the idea of like submitting to a man's leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Really, at the end of the day, goddess, queen energy. I mean, even the word queen, it implies that you have a king. And at the end of the day, the king's say is the king's say, you know what I mean? Now, that doesn't mean that he wouldn't consult his queen, but I wish you success in making that transition into your soft girl era. Because the kind of men that you want, like women that are easily led, so to speak. You know?
I have been successful in that.
That's good.
So, yeah, it's been good.
In the second video we reacted to, that's the one where you were talking about basically essentially the patriarchy, that I think men have it easier, women are disadvantaged, it's a man's world. In the description of that, you say that equality is not sameness, it's fairness. The sexy and fair thing to do is for the man to pick up the tab. Ladies, do not settle for less. We teach people how to treat us.
That is accurate.
Right, that's what you said. And so, if I recall, did you say that you consider yourself a feminist?
Yes, I do.
So how do you reconcile being a feminist, but also demanding that men pay for first dates?
I think that you don't have to be on one side, like one extreme side or the other extreme side. Just like in politics, like you don't have to be like ultra liberal or ultra conservative. Like you can kind of figure out the values that you believe in and believe in those values. And I was like more in my like masculine, more hyper independent era. And then as I became someone who, like, the things that I wanted in life shifted, I'm like, oh, I actually do want a lifelong partner. And how do I get I just, through contemplation, not through any I'm not looking to tradition, I'm not looking to now, I'm just thinking about what do I want? What kind of person do I want to attract? And through that is where I got my values of like, oh, I'm like creating this space where men don't get to like feel like they're the hero, like feel like they're leading. And I'm like, I do want a man like that. So that means I need to take a step back. It has nothing to do with tradition or feminism. Like I'm just like, that's what I want to do. I don't care if it's tradition, if it's a traditional value. I don't care if it's a modern value. That's just what I want. So I'm going to act accordingly.
But I mean, do you believe in gender equality?
Yes.
Do you believe?
I don't believe that I don't believe that men and women should do the same things, but I think.
Sure. Okay.
But I think that women should have the opportunity to do what they want to do.
Should men
if
have?
They want to go 50.
Yeah,
if they want to go 50-50, then go 50-50. I don't give a fuck what you do. Like that's just what I want.
Well, I guess just as a feminist, I guess where I'm struggling is why do you support a rather patriarchal traditional belief of men paying for a woman's time?
I don't believe that it is a patriarchal belief. I think it's based off energy.
Based off energy?
The patriarchy, I think, says a woman has to do this. She should do this. I'm saying you can.
I would
women
disagree.
Can do whatever they want.
As the patriarchy's spokesperson on the Whatever podcast, the patriarchy says it's good for a woman to do this, and a woman ought to do this.
I think
it's not a woman has to do this.
Sure.
it's good for a woman to do this. It's in alignment with her nature and a man's nature.
Yeah.
Therefore, she ought to.
Yeah. I mean, I think that.
Official statement from the patriarchy.
Okay, so I don't know. I just feel like part of feminism is challenging gender roles. But let me ask you a couple questions. So, will you take your husband's last name?
I'm not sure.
What?
She wants a guy to pay.
You want him to feel like the hero in your life, and you won't even take. You're not proud to take your man's last name.
I haven't met a man who is worthy of me taking his name.
He would be your husband. This would be the guy who you will marry.
I don't know. It depends what his last name is. If it's like
really
weird.
Holy smokes! Why would a high-value man want to marry a woman who won't even take his last name? Why would any man want that?
I don't.
That's like the most humiliating thing in the world.
I didn't realize that it was so humiliating. I mean, I'm definitely open to having a discussion with the man that I fall in love with. I don't think that like me and you would be a match. I don't think that you and I would be a match, and that's totally fine. If I meet a man who is my match and he like is like, this is so important to me, like this is what it would mean to me, I'm open to having that discussion with him.
But you said if his name is kind of weird, that seems like a very arbitrary reason to not want to take it.
If I knew that a woman was not interested in taking a man's last name, I would not even offer to take her on a date in the first place.
Well, luckily you're not offering to take me on a date, so
that's
I think
correct.
we're good.
But just generally speaking,
I don't want to find a man like you, so I think we're good.
Just generally speaking, though, like you have to understand
I understand that men like you want that.
Yeah, I mean, any traditional guy who's like filling even a remotely patriarchal role that you're hold on, please let me finish. Any traditional guy who's filling even a remotely patriarchal role that you're describing like is going to want a woman who would be proud to take his last name. That's like a given.
I don't see like you want the guy to pay for the first date, you don't want a 50-50 relationship. But like the most basic thing, it seems like, look, if as a guy you want to like do the 50-50 thing with your girl, then maybe in that scenario you should go in expecting, hey, she might want to hyphenate, she might not want to take my last name. But you have, in the same way that I was talking earlier about, well, what does the guy that you want, what does he want? And the guy that you want, who wants to be that masculine guy, who wants to be a leader, who wants to pay for the first dates, not do 50-50, I would assume that he's going to also be the type of guy that wants you to take his last name. Yeah. I don't think some of these things are super...
Brian, you know what I would do if I was on a date with a girl and she told me...
She wouldn't date you, though.
No, I know. But, you know, that's she's made that clear.
Sorry,
she
Chase.
finds me horrible. But, like...
I never said that.
If
I said we're not a match.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. If I was on a date with a girl... You would... I hope you'll appreciate this. If I was on a first date with a girl... And halfway through the date, she told me, you know what? I'm not interested in taking a man's last name when I marry him. No. What I would say is, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize we were going on this date as friends. Okay, thanks. Thanks for telling me. Let's split the bill.
I mean, to be fair, like I am transitioning into this.Maybe as I date.
Wait, you're transitioning?
I'm transitioning
sorry,
into being more in my feminine era, and I'm exploring this apart. I'm exploring this apart from tradition. I'm not thinking about any values that anyone's taught me. I'm not thinking about societal standards. I'm thinking about what do I want? What kind of energy do I want to invite in my life? Let me finish.
Okay.
And so as I continue to explore this, as I've gotten more clear with my values, I've had a shift. And I'm like, oh, maybe I need to do this differently. Potentially, maybe that is something that I will have a change of mind. I am in a transition. I don't understand the male perspective when it comes to that. And I've never been even close to like wanting to take a man's last name. So I'm open to having my mind shift about this. And I don't think that you guys should like shame me for being in a space where I'm figuring it out.
But you seem so solid on what the expectations of men are, but you don't seem to be very privy to what that type of man wants. And you also shame men.
She's still figuring it out.
But
she understands men. The kind of man she's looking for. I don't think
she's figured out what she wants, but she hasn't figured out what the man that she wants.
Yes, that's correct.
But if you want that kind of treatment, then you got to come correct on your end too.
Let me tell you what I want.
What do you want,
You know
Chase?
what I want?
Chase, tell us what you want.
I'll tell you what I want. I hope that you find the kind of guy that your heart desires, and that he's the kind of man where you look at him and you're like, you know what? I want to take your last name. You
That
are
would
my
be
freaking
great.
hero. I hope you found that guy.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I find that man and that's what he really wants, then great.